chosen one, someone who treated you as replaceable, is unraveling so completely that they're literally making noise about you. Nobody has ever seen them act like this. This isn't happening in private. It is a public, irreversible collapse in front of the very people they once gossiped with. The storm has made landfall, and while they struggle in the noise of their own making, you are standing firmly in the sun. You were the one who saw them, not the version they performed for the world, not the polished, composed exterior they maintained for every audience around them. You saw underneath all of that. You saw the real person, the one with more depth, more potential, and more actual substance than anything they ever showed publicly. And you didn't run from what you saw. You engaged with it. You challenged it. You believed in it. You pushed this person not to hurt them, but because you genuinely saw who they could become and refused to treat them as anything less than that. That kind of presence does not just feel good to be around. It demands something from a person. It holds up a mirror and says, "You are more than this. I know it, and I am not going to pretend otherwise just to keep the peace." You were also completely whole on your own. You didn't show up to this connection empty-handed or looking for someone to fill a gap in you. You arrived with your own world, your own mind, your own fire. You communicated clearly. You loved without keeping score. You were loyal in a way that doesn't bend under pressure or dilute under the influence of outside opinions. You showed up with everything. You never needed too much. The real problem was that this person kept giving too little. Deep down they knew it. They always knew it. They just were not ready to say it out loud. They are saying it out loud now, in front of witnesses, in a way that nobody expected. Ignoring you was not an option, because the truth of what you are cannot be quietly set aside. So they had to work. They had to construct a version of you that was easier to dismiss. Your directness became too much. Your standards became unrealistic. The way you loved completely, honestly, and without a performance became overwhelming. Every quality that made you rare got repackaged as a problem, not because those qualities were actually problems. The repackaging happened because if this person admitted those qualities were gifts, they would have had to admit they were unworthy of receiving them, and the ego will construct any fiction necessary to avoid that admission. That fiction actually worked for a while. It made you question yourself. There were moments, you know exactly which ones, where you caught yourself wondering if maybe you were asking for too much, or if maybe the way you loved was actually the issue. You adjusted. You softened edges that did not need softening. You tried to fit yourself into a smaller version of who you are, because that smaller version seemed to make things easier for them. That is the damage that never gets talked about loudly enough, not the obvious hurt, the quiet internal erosion, the slow negotiation downward that happens when someone you love keeps implying through their distance, their reactions, and their casual dismissals that the full version of you is simply too much to handle. You started editing yourself in real time. You started second-guessing your own knowing. Your knowing was never wrong, and the proof of that is now living loudly in a room you are not even in. Here is what happens when a lie gets built that big. It requires constant maintenance. The narrative has to be reinforced constantly. The circle of people who agree has to stay close, because that circle is the infrastructure the lie runs on. The moment the validation stops, the moment the support system goes quiet, the lie loses its power source, and the truth, which has been waiting patiently underneath the whole construction, comes flooding back. That flood is exactly what you are hearing about right now. There was a moment, maybe you remember it clearly, maybe it came in stages, but there was a moment when you made a decision that this person completely underestimated. You decided to stop. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped re-earning what should never have required re-earning in the first place. You stopped shrinking your love to fit inside the boundary of someone else's comfort zone. You stopped making yourself easier to digest for a person who should have been grateful for the full, unedited version of you. You walked away, not with drama and not as a performance. You simply stopped being available for a version of connection that was not honoring what you are, and you started moving, quietly, consistently, in the direction of your own life, your own growth and your own becoming. If this message aligned with your purpose, hype this video so fellow chosen ones can find their confirmation. When a chosen one removes themselves from a situation, they don't just leave, they leave a vacuum. A specific, irreplaceable person-shaped vacuum that no amount of distraction, replacement, or noise can fill, because what you carry, your particular combination of depth, loyalty, fire, and clarity, is not replicable. It cannot be found in the next person or the next comfortable situation. The absence of something that's specific is felt in an equally specific way. This person felt it immediately. They just refused to show it. They doubled down on the performance. They leaned harder into the people around them. They filled the silence with activity and kept moving as though they had made a clean, confident choice, and life was proceeding smoothly on schedule. But underneath all of that, the vacuum was pulling, every single day, harder than they expected, and harder than they admitted to anyone, including themselves. And what did the outside look like while all of this was building underneath? It looked like someone thriving. The appearances were maintained. They were showing up in the right places, saying the right things, performing the version of a person who made a decision and never looked back. But it was only a performance. The people paying the closest attention, the ones who actually knew this person and were not invested in the fiction, noticed the cracks. Certain topics became quietly off-limits, not because they were healed from them, but because they were too far from healed for casual conversation to be safe. Any news about someone doing well, moving forward, or growing would land on this person in a way that had nothing to do with the person being discussed. It always circled back to you. You were the unspoken subject underneath almost everything. This person was not moving forward. They were moving sideways, staying at the same emotional altitude by staying busy and staying loud. Avoidance works that way, temporarily, and at a compounding cost. Every day they refused to deal with what was real, added more weight to what they would eventually have to carry. Chosen one, that debt came due in full. This person had surrounded themselves with a tight group. On the surface, that group looked like friendship. It looked like community, like the healthy and natural thing people do when they need support. But the function that group was actually serving had very little to do with genuine friendship. Every time your name came up in that circle, and your name came up far more than you ever knew, that group fed something destructive. They added exaggerated details. They cosigned distorted narratives. They amplified every doubt this person already had about you. They took your best qualities and helped frame them as red flags. They took your reasonable expectations and helped label them as demands. They took your depth and helped package it as instability. They created a comfortable, recurring ritual out of discussing you in ways that kept this person feeling justified for every bit of distance they had created. This person allowed it to continue because that group was doing the emotional heavy lifting they did not want to do for themselves. As long as the people around them agreed that you were the problem, this person did not have to sit with the truth that the real problem lived much closer to home. That group was not support. It was a well-organized and ongoing distraction from accountability. But here is where it turns, and this turn is a significant piece of why everything exploded the way it did. The same group that was talking about you to this person was also talking about this person behind their back. The people this person leaned on to tear you down were privately watching them self-destruct and treating it as entertainment. They were not friends, they were audience members, and this person was the show. That realization is now landing with the full force of betrayal, stacked on top of grief, stacked on top of regret. When you realize that the people you trusted to guide you were actually invested in your failure, there is no quiet version of that discovery. It does not stay inside, it comes out loud. And right now, it is coming out about you. in the most public, witnessed and undeniable way possible. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action, and real chosen ones are also paying attention. You've noticed it. Chosen one channels getting silenced, videos pulled, voices removed from the platform. The mainstream media is cracking down on us. But we will not give up our voice, and neither should you. That's why joining Destiny Engine is a 360 win. You support your favorite channels and fuel your own rise at the same time. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. The beauty is, you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. Something happened recently, something small on the surface, but it landed on top of accumulated weight that had been building for far too long, and the whole structure gave way at once. This person was in a familiar setting, around that same group. Your name came up. Maybe someone had heard something about you moving forward. Maybe a comment was dropped that carried the usual dismissive undertone that had always been welcome in that room before. But this time, something was completely different. The comfortable narrative this person had been maintaining, the story where you were the problem and they were justified, had been losing its structural integrity for a while. Because every day they went without what you brought to the table, the absence of you spoke louder than anything else in the room. Because every attempt to find something comparable quietly failed. So when someone opened their mouth and said something about you, the response was not a nod. It was not a gentle redirect. The response was a detonation. This person shut it down hard, fast, and with a ferocity that nobody in that room was prepared for. They defended you loudly and specifically, with a level of detail that told everyone present exactly how long and how deeply they had been thinking about you. You do not defend someone with that kind of precision unless that person has been living in your thoughts at that level of specificity for a very long time. And then your name was said in a way it had never been said in that room before, not as a topic, not as a cautionary tale, with weight, with the specific gravity of someone speaking about something they have lost and know they cannot get back. The kind of tone that communicates to everyone present, this person was real to me, more real than I ever let on in this room, more real than I ever let myself fully admit. That tone collapsed every piece of gossip that had ever passed through that circle. You cannot maintain a fiction about someone and then speak about them with that kind of reverence. Everyone in that room heard both versions simultaneously, the old fiction and the undeniable truth, and they understood in real time that they had been participating in something they should have questioned a long time ago. The person who tried to interject misread the room entirely. They stepped directly into a live wire. The response they received was total, witnessed, and left no room for recovery. That person had to walk away, head down, with nothing left to say. Your name became protected in that room, not because you walked in and demanded it, because this person finally, after all this time, made it so. Nobody has ever seen this person act like this. That is what everyone is still talking about. And you, chosen one, are the reason. A reaction that sighs does not come from nowhere. Every word of that outburst was information. Here is what was actually being communicated. When this person shut down the gossip, the real message was, I know what I lost. When they went off on the person who tried to minimize you, the message was, Do not reduce this person to something you can carry lightly, because they cannot be. When they started describing your depth, your independence, your fearlessness and your loyalty, the message was, I was the one who wasn't enough, not them, me. This was a confession that had been building under pressure for as long as this person had been running from the truth. And when it came out complete. They spoke about how you communicated in ways that nobody else in their life had ever communicated with them. They spoke about how your standard never wavered, even when they were doing everything in their power to give you reasons to lower it. They acknowledged that you were never actually demanding, you were simply asking for what you always deserved. And the difference between those two things is something this person now understands with painful specific clarity. They said it, between the lines or directly. They said, I made a mistake, I should have fought for this connection, I was weak, and being weak cost me the most significant relationship of my life. The people who heard that are still sitting with it. Not because it is surprising that someone would feel that way about you, but because this specific person, the one who maintained for so long that moving on had been easy, that you were the complicated one, said it out loud in front of witnesses. The mask did not just slip, it came entirely off. And what people in that room will be talking about for a long time is not just the defense or the shutdown, it is what came after, when the initial burst of fury passed and the grief that lived underneath it finally surfaced. In that moment, this person described your qualities with reverence. The very depth they once ran from is now the thing they describe as irreplaceable. The very qualities that had been framed as problems in that room were now being openly mourned as losses. That is a complete and public reversal. Every negative version of your story that ever circulated in that environment just got overwritten by the very person who originally wrote it, in front of the very people who had been repeating it. You never needed a platform to correct that false narrative. You just needed to live long enough for the truth to become undeniable, and it just became undeniable. There was someone in their circle, someone trusted, someone with consistent and close access, who was actively working against your connection from the very beginning. Not obviously, not clumsily, with precision and patience, with the quiet, steady work of someone who had a specific outcome in mind and knew exactly how to move people toward it without them ever suspecting anything was happening. This person showed up with opinions about you, regularly, always framed as concern, always dressed up as honest, caring advice. They planted doubts. They ran every behavior of yours through a distorted lens that made everything you did look like a problem or a threat. When you set a healthy boundary, they reframed it as manipulation. When you expressed an emotional need, they labeled it as neediness. When you communicated directly and honestly, they helped make it sound like an attack. Every behavior of yours that came from a place of genuine health got filtered through their perspective and came out looking like a warning sign. The specific cruelty in this is that they were doing it to someone who already had difficulty believing they deserved something real. They were working on a foundation that already had cracks, this person's own unhealed places, their own inherited fear of being fully seen, and rather than helping those cracks close, they were prying them wider. They kept the doubt alive, they kept the fear fueled, the advice they absorbed, the perspective they borrowed, the doubts they took on as their own. These were all things that supposed confident would never apply to their own life and their own relationships. This person handed someone a map to self-destruction and called it wisdom, and this person followed that map, step by step, right off the edge of the best thing in their life. The motive was never love. The motive was management, keeping this person emotionally unavailable, keeping them circling, keeping you positioned as a threat rather than a treasure. Whether the driving force was envy, insecurity, or simply a need to keep things unstable, the result was the same. Your connection was sabotaged from the inside by someone who smiled warmly through the entire process. This person now sees all of it with complete clarity, and the fury that clarity is generating is not the kind that resolves quickly. When you finally understand that someone you trusted was engineering your greatest loss, the anger has no fast exit. It works itself out slowly, one revoked relationship at a time. But here is the thing you need to notice and hold on to. Not 1 ounce of that anger is directed at you. Everything is pointed inward, at the choices this person made, and outward at the people who shaped those choices. You are the one thing in this entire story that they hold with absolute reverence. That is not a coincidence. That is a direct reflection of who you are and what you brought. Underneath all the noise, underneath the fury and the public unraveling, there is something more interior happening that is worth understanding. This person has not been sleeping properly. The mind replays things regardless of how exhausted the body gets. Every moment where there was a clear choice between the honest path and the comfortable one, and they chose comfort, plays back on a loop. There is no fast forward available when the conscience has something it needs to say. You are living in their thoughts with more presence than anything currently happening in their daily life. The memories are detailed. They revisit exact exchanges and exact moments where things could have gone differently. They replay words they said that cannot be taken back, and they hear the words they never said but should have. What began as occasional regret has become something more like a haunting, specific, recurring, and impossible to silence with distraction. The people around them have noticed the change, the short fuse, the way minor frustrations generate enormous reactions, because none of that energy is actually about the minor thing in front of them. Everything that has been building below the surface finds its exit through the small moments. Every triggered reaction is overflow from a reservoir of unprocessed loss that this person has been refusing to drain. And here is something worth seeing clearly. Not to excuse anything that happened, but to complete the picture you deserve to have. This person did not arrive at their worst choices in a vacuum. There is a version of them, a younger, more wounded version, that never learned how to remain present when something got genuinely close and real. That version learned to perform confidence while privately drowning in doubt. It learned to fill surrounding space with noise, because silence meant sitting with things it did not yet know how to face. You got through that defense. You actually reached the real person underneath the performance. And instead of letting that be the breakthrough it was supposed to be, the invitation it genuinely was, the fear took over, and this person ran back to what was familiar, back to comfortable dysfunction, back to the people who asked nothing real of them, because the discomfort of genuine growth is terrifying when you have never been properly held through it. There is something this person is now recognizing about themselves that extends far beyond this one situation with you, and it is the most uncomfortable part of everything they are currently walking through. It is one thing to know you made a mistake. It is a different and much deeper reckoning to understand that this mistake was not the first of its kind, that the shape of it is familiar, that this same sequence has played out before with different faces and different details, but the same ending. Getting close to something real, finding a reason to push it away, replacing depth with distraction until the feeling passes. What this person is sitting with right now is the recognition that they have consistently confused self-protection with self-destruction, the very thing they kept running from. Real love, genuine intimacy, someone who actually saw them and did not flinch, was the thing they needed most, and kept rejecting with the greatest energy. This particular loss, the loss of you, is harder than previous ones because it is not only grief about you, it is grief about the whole pattern. It is grief about the version of a life that could have existed if the real work had been done earlier, if the wound had been healed instead of managed, if the walls had come down instead of getting rebuilt slightly taller each time. The question living inside this person right now is deeply uncomfortable. Is it too late to change? That question has no quick answer. The answer is built through behavior over time, not decided in a single moment of clarity. But the fact that this person is asking it genuinely, without denial, softening the edges of it, means the foundation for real change exists. Whether anything gets built on that foundation is entirely up to them. What you need to take from this is much simpler than their journey. You were not the anomaly in someone's otherwise healthy life. You were the mirror. The reaction got this loud because you got closer to this person's truth than anyone before you had. And instead of accepting that as the gift it was, they ran from the reflection. The running has now stopped. Publicly, this is the moment everything peaked, and it happened in a way nobody anticipated. An ego death is not graceful. It does not arrive looking like enlightenment. It arrives as a public collision between the story someone has been carefully maintaining and the reality they can no longer suppress. It looks like a person coming completely undone in front of witnesses. It looks like the mask failing entirely, not slipping, but failing at the worst possible moment, in front of the exact people who had been helping prop up the fiction. That is what people witnessed in that room, and that is why they cannot stop talking about it. This person did not just defend you, they confessed, out loud, in front of the people who had previously served as their audience for dismissing you. They admitted that the narrative was constructed, that the distance was a cowardly choice, that the gossip they participated in was a betrayal of something that deserved to be protected, that the people they leaned on were not actually in their corner, that they were weak when strength was what the moment required, that they chose wrong, and that they have known all of this for much longer than they are comfortable admitting. When someone tried to push back, someone who assumed the old group energy was still available and stepped in expecting to be welcomed, the response was total. That person had to leave quietly, with nothing left to say, because you cannot argue with someone who is in the middle of watching their own self-deception dissolve. The witnesses are not processing this the way they process ordinary gossip. They are sitting with it, because what they saw was not entertainment. What they saw was a real person paying the full cost of a series of bad choices all at once, in public, with no protection from the truth. And for many of them, it was the most honest thing they had ever witnessed this person do. The ego that took so long to build came down in one moment, and you living your life, becoming more of yourself every day, not even in the room, were the catalyst. Not because you engineered it, simply because you exist, simply because who you are is so specific and irreplaceable that the absence of you became impossible to keep pretending was fine. That is power, not the performed kind, the real kind, the kind that operates entirely without you having to lift a finger. There is a larger pattern operating underneath all of this, and once you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. Everything you walked through was specific. The particular person, the particular betrayal, the particular group, the particular way your best qualities were framed as flaws. None of it was accidental or unlucky. It was a test built precisely around what you needed to confirm, at a level deeper than the rational mind, about the unshakable nature of your own worth. The test was this: will you hold your standard when the person you love is actively refusing to meet it? Will you choose yourself when every circumstance around you is pushing you to accept less? Will you trust your own knowing when the voices around you are insisting that your knowing is wrong? You passed, not without struggle, not without nights when you almost convinced yourself they might be right, but you passed. You chose yourself, you kept moving, and that one sustained decision, the decision to honor who you are, set into motion everything that has now arrived as confirmation. Every word of the noise they are making about you is the sound of someone discovering too late, too publicly, with too much consequence already paid, that what they had in you was singular, not a type of person, not a version of something they can find again by looking in a different direction. You, specifically, with your particular and irreplaceable combination of depth, fire, loyalty, and the absolute refusal to reduce yourself for anyone's comfort. And here you are, not broken, not bitter, not monitoring their pain from a distance for satisfaction, because you have never needed someone else's suffering to feel powerful. You are standing on the other side of every test, whole, clear and more yourself than you were at the beginning of this story. That is not an accident. That is the direct result of every private choice you made to honor who you are, even when honoring yourself was hard, unwitnessed, and brought no immediate reward. The quiet you chose was not retreat, it was preparation. It was the specific kind of silence that allows truth to build enough pressure that it eventually cannot be contained. You did not plan the explosion. You did not orchestrate the reckoning. You did not engineer any part of it. You simply moved. You grew. You kept being exactly who you are with full commitment, and everything else arranged itself accordingly. That is what real power looks like. Not the loud kind, not the performed kind, the kind that does its work while you are focused entirely on your own becoming, the kind that does not need an audience, though it now has one. The noise this person is making about you is remarkable. The public nature of it, the complete reversal, the witnesses who are still processing what they saw, all of that is real and worth receiving. But here is what is even more remarkable. You did not need it. Read that again. You did not need it. The work you did to get to the other side of this situation was not done in anticipation of this confirmation. You did not heal strategically, waiting for vindication to arrive so that the healing could feel justified. You healed because you chose yourself. You moved because you knew your direction. You grew because growth was what the moment required, and you answered even when answering was painful, even when no one was watching, even when the reward was nowhere visible. The confirmation is real, it matters, but it is not the foundation of your worth. That foundation was built in the private moments. Every time you sat with discomfort instead of running from it. Every time you told yourself the truth when the comfortable version was right there waiting to be chosen instead. Every time you held your standard in the silence of your own life, with no audience and no guarantee that anyone would ever see it or acknowledge it. That is what chosen ones do. They build in private. They hold in silence. They keep their knowing intact when everything around them is working to erode it. And then, inevitably, at exactly the right moment, the external world catches up to the internal work. The confirmation arrives. The noise happens, and none of it shakes you, because none of it was ever the source of your strength. It was always just the echo of the foundation you already built. You are the source. You have always been the source. What you carry is not common. The way you love, show up, hold your standard, and see through performance to what is actually real, that is a specific and uncommon gift. It changes people, whether they accept it gracefully or not. It leaves a mark that time, distraction, and false company cannot erase. You marked this person permanently, not by trying, not by strategizing, simply by being completely unapologetically and uncompromisingly yourself. You did it even when it cost you, even when it hurt. Even when this person was standing right in front of you, making you feel like your fullness was the problem. Your fullness was never the problem. It was always the standard. And that standard is now on full display through the very public, very witnessed unraveling of someone who tried to live beneath it and discovered they could not. The noise behind you is the echo of ground you already covered. Everything ahead of you has your name on it. Move,